ever thought about what might happen if you had sex every single day for a month?
Hmm. Interesting question.
Well, you're in the right place because that's exactly what we're exploring today. Welcome back to the Deep Connection Podcast.
Yeah, it's a question many people ponder.
We're about to unravel the fascinating and complex world of daily sex and what it does to the human body.
The answers are surprisingly nuanced.
So where do we start?
Well, let's start with something that often sparks curiosity. Sperm production.
Okay, yeah.
You might be surprised to learn that the average man produces a staggering amount of sperm every single day.
Okay, how much are we talking?
Roughly 130 million.
130 million. Wow. That's more people than in most countries.
It is.
It makes you wonder how the body manages to create that much. And what happens when you add daily sex into the mix?
Right.
You know?
It's a biological marvel, really.
Yeah.
Think of it as an intricate production line with different glands working together to create semen, the fluid that carries sperm. The testes, for instance, those are the primary sperm factory.
Right, the sperm factory.
And while frequent ejaculation might slightly decrease the volume of semen, it's generally within a healthy range.
So no need to worry about running low, even with daily activity.
Generally, no.
Okay, that's reassuring, I'm sure, for many out there.
Right.
But what about the other components of semen?
Yeah.
What role do they play in this intricate dance of reproduction?
Well, each element has a specific purpose.
Huh.
For example, the bulbourethral gland.
Okay.
This produces a slippery fluid that helps sperm travel smoothly. You might notice slightly thicker semen if you have sex less frequently,
Okay.
simply because this gland has had more time to build up its secretions.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like nature's own lubricant,
Right.
ensuring those swimmers have a smooth journey. But it's not just about getting sperm from point A to point B, is it?
Not at all.
They need energy for that journey.
Right. They do. That's where the seminal vesicles come in. They contribute fructose,
Fructose.
a sugar that sperm use for energy. Think of it as the fuel that keeps those little guys swimming.
Okay.
This is why maintaining a healthy diet rich in fruits,
Uh-huh.
which are naturally high in fructose, is vital for men's reproductive health.
So an apple a day doesn't just keep the doctor away, it might help those sperm stay energized.
Exactly.
But what about other nutrients? We've all heard that zinc is important for men.
Yes, zinc.
But how does that tie into this whole process?
Zinc is crucial
Okay.
because it plays a vital role in sperm health,
Mhm.
specifically in stabilizing sperm DNA, which directly impacts their strength and longevity.
So if someone is deficient in zinc, could that actually affect their fertility?
That's a key takeaway here. Low zinc levels can make sperm more fragile, susceptible to the challenging environment of the female reproductive tract. Frequent ejaculation, particularly if you're not replenishing your zinc stores through diet or supplements, could potentially lead to lower quality sperm.
Hmm. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's not just about quantity, it's about ensuring those sperm are strong and healthy contenders in the race to fertilization.
Right. Exactly.
So frequent ejaculation, while not depleting sperm count, could impact the quality of those swimmers.
Yes.
But what about the effects on the body itself?
Yeah.
We often hear about sensitivity changes,
Yes, sensitivity for sure.
especially with frequent sexual activity. Is there any truth to that?
There is. Both masturbation and sex can lead to reduced sensitivity over time. It's a natural response to consistent stimulation. Think of it like your senses adjusting to a strong smell.
Okay.
Initially, it's overpowering, but eventually you barely notice it.
That's a great analogy. It's like your body adapts to the constant input, requiring potentially more intense stimulation for the same level of sensation.
Right.
But you mentioned earlier that frequent stimulation could impact response time in two different ways.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, it all comes down to how your body reacts to repeated stimulation. For some, daily stimulation, primes the body, making them aroused more quickly. It's like having a finely tuned engine ready to roar.
But for others, it might have the opposite effect.
Precisely. Some individuals find that their brain becomes so accustomed to frequent stimulation that it begins to filter it out. Imagine hitting the snooze button on arousal. It takes a bit more to get things going.
So it's a bit of a gamble.
It can be.
Frequent sex might make you more responsive, or it could require a bit more effort to to reach the same level of excitement. Now, let's dive into a topic that's often surrounded by myths and misconceptions.
Yeah.
The impact of frequent sex on fertility.
Right.
Right.
Contrary to popular belief, frequent sex doesn't necessarily harm fertility, especially when you're paying attention to nutrition. Remember, it's about sperm quality, not just quantity. Maintaining adequate zinc levels and consuming enough fructose, like we discussed earlier, are key for healthy sperm production.
So a healthy diet is a must for those hoping to become fathers.
Absolutely.
But does there come a point where too much of a good thing might become a problem?
Well, excessive masturbation, even without intercourse, could potentially lead to erectile dysfunction. This is because the constant stimulation, as we mentioned before, can lead to decreased sensitivity and make it harder to achieve an erection.
It's interesting how these things are all interconnected: diet, stimulation, and overall sexual health. But let's shift gears and talk about a topic that often makes men a bit apprehensive: prostate health.
Yeah, prostate health. Big one.
There's a belief that frequent sexual activity could be harmful to the prostate. Is there any truth to that?
It might surprise you to learn that research suggests the opposite. Studies have linked, frequent ejaculation around 21 times a month or more to a lower rate of prostate cancer.
Really? That's quite a twist. Why would that be?
One theory suggests that frequent ejaculation helps clear out the prostate, promoting healthy cell growth. It's like, flushing out a pipe to prevent blockages.
So it's a natural way to keep things running smoothly, so to speak.
Exactly.
But you mentioned it's a theory, so there's still more research needed in this area.
Exactly. While the findings are promising, we need further research to fully understand the relationship between ejaculation and prostate health.
That makes sense. It's always wise to approach health information with a critical eye and consult with healthcare professionals for personalized advice.
Couldn't agree more.
Now, while frequent ejaculation might have potential benefits for prostate health,
yeah,
what about the risks associated with more frequent sexual activity?
Well, one thing to consider is the increased risk of urinary tract infections and sexually transmitted infections. More frequent activity, well, that means more opportunities for bacteria and viruses to enter the body.
That's a crucial point to remember. No matter how often you're having sex, protecting yourself and your partner from infections should always be a top priority.
Absolutely. Safe sex practices are non-negotiable, regardless of the frequency of your sexual activity.
Right.
Now, up until this point, our conversation has centered primarily on the male experience.
Right.
But what about the female perspective? How does frequent ejaculation affect the female body?
That's a great question, and it's something we often receive inquiries about. There are a lot of myths and misconceptions surrounding the effects of semen on the female body. We've all heard those tales about hip growth and weight gain, but what's the reality?
Right. Let's separate fact from fiction. When semen enters the vaginal canal, it's not just about potential pregnancy. Sperm and seminal fluid, well, they interact with the female body in various ways. Semen contains a complex mix of components, each with its own potential effects.
So it's more than just a delivery system for sperm.
Definitely. For instance, semen contains prostaglandins.
Sorry.
Which can cause uterine contractions.
Right.
While these contractions help sperm move towards the egg, they can also contribute to period cramps.
That's fascinating. So semen can influence a woman's menstrual cycle in various ways.
Uh-huh.
What about other effects?
Well, semen also contains hormones like testosterone and oxytocin, which can influence mood and bonding.
Okay.
Oxytocin, often called the cuddle hormone, is released during sexual activity, and it's known to promote feelings of closeness and intimacy.
So it's like a natural love potion.
Well, you could say that.
Enhancing feelings of connection after sex. That's interesting.
It certainly plays a role, and there's also growing interest in the potential immune effects of semen. Some studies suggest that semen exposure might even help protect against certain allergies.
That's surprising. It seems like there's a lot more going on than we realize when it comes to the interaction between semen and the female body.
Right.
But does daily sex amplify these effects?
That's That's a great question, and one that researchers are still exploring. We don't have, we don't have all the answers yet. It's possible that a certain amount of exposure is needed to trigger specific changes.
So daily sex might accelerate some of these processes,
Yeah.
but we need more data to know for sure.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that every woman's body is different. What holds true for one person might not be the case for another.
That's a crucial point.
Oh.
It highlights the importance of listening to your own body and understanding your individual responses. If you have any concerns or questions, it's always best to consult with a healthcare professional.
Absolutely. They can provide personalized guidance based on your specific situation and health history. Now, while we've explored the potential physical effects of frequent ejaculation on both men and women, it's equally important to consider the emotional and relational aspects of daily sex.
That's a key aspect that often gets overlooked. Sex isn't just a physical act. It's a powerful form of intimacy and connection between partners.
Precisely. Daily sex, it can profoundly impact a relationship, strengthening bonds, deepening intimacy, and creating a sense of shared adventure. It can become a cherished ritual that reinforces the connection between partners.
It's like a daily dose of intimacy,
Yeah.
strengthening the emotional fabric of the relationship.
Right.
But could there be downsides to such frequent intimacy?
Well, it's important to acknowledge that daily sex can also strain a relationship if both partners aren't fully on board. It can't be
Yeah.
a one-sided expectation or become a source of pressure or resentment.
So open and honest communication is crucial in this scenario.
Absolutely. Both partners need to be upfront about their desires, needs, and boundaries. It's about finding a rhythm that works for both of you.
Right.
A balance between spontaneity and intentionality, and that balance might evolve over time.
What worked for a couple in the honeymoon phase might not be sustainable or desirable years down the line.
Exactly. Flexibility, adaptation, and ongoing communication are key to navigating the dynamics of intimacy within a relationship. It's about recognizing that needs and desires can change over time, and it's essential to be responsive to those shifts.
So it's not just about the frequency of sex, but the quality of the connection that matters most.
Precisely. It's about being present, mindful, and attuned to your partner's needs. Sometimes that might mean taking a break from daily sex to focus on other aspects of your relationship, nurturing the emotional connection in different ways.
That's an important point. It's not a failure if a couple decides to adjust their sexual routine. It's about prioritizing the overall health and happiness of the relationship, recognizing that intimacy can be expressed in various forms.
Indeed. The takeaway here is that there's no one size fits all answer when it comes to sexual frequency. Daily sex can be fantastic for some couples, but
Yeah.
but it's not a magic formula for every relationship.
It's about finding what works best for you and your partner,
Hmm.
which might involve experimentation, open communication, and a willingness to adjust your expectations.
Right.
It seems like the key takeaway here is that there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to how often couples should be intimate. It's about finding what feels good and right for both individuals involved.
Exactly. Daily sex, it might be fulfilling for some, but it's certainly not a universal recipe for a happy relationship. It's about understanding that intimacy is multifaceted and can be nurtured in many ways.
We've covered so much ground today,
We have.
from the biological intricacies of
Yeah.
sperm production to the complex effects of semen on the female body,
Mhm.
to the emotional nuances of frequent intimacy. It's clear that this topic is far from simple.
Very complex, lots of layers to unpack there.
We've debunked some common myths, explored scientific findings, and highlighted the importance of open communication and self-awareness when navigating the complexities of sexual frequency and relationship.
It's about being proactive and informed.
It's been fascinating to delve into the science behind these everyday experiences and to recognize that our our bodies are constantly responding and adapting to our, to our choices and
Yeah, our
behaviors.
bodies are incredible.
So if you're considering incorporating, daily sex into your relationship, the most important thing is to approach it with intention, mindfulness, and a genuine desire to connect with your partner on a deeper level.
Couldn't agree more. It's about having those open and honest conversations, exploring each other's needs and boundaries, creating a sexual landscape that feels fulfilling and enriching for both of you.
And remember, intimacy extends far beyond beyond the physical act. It encompasses emotional connection, shared experiences, acts of kindness,
Yeah.
and a deep understanding of each other's wants and needs.
It's about nurturing that spark in all its forms and finding what truly ignites passion and connection within your relationship.
Well said. If you found this deep dive into the world of daily sex interesting, be sure to subscribe for more explorations into the fascinating world of human connection. We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, stay curious, stay connected, and keep diving deep.